the classification system of the types of inhabited localities in Russia, the former Soviet Union, and some other post-Soviet states has certain peculiarities compared to the classification systems in other countries. Modern classification in Russia. During the Soviet time, each of the republics of the Soviet Union, including the Russian SFSR, had its own legislative documents dealing with classification of inhabited localities. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the task of developing and maintaining such classification in Russia was delegated to the federal subjects. While currently there are certain peculiarities to classifications used in many federal subjects, they are all still largely based on the system used in the RSFSR. In all federal subjects, the inhabited localities are classified into two major categories, urban and rural. Further divisions of these categories vary slightly from one federal subject to another, but they all follow common trends described below. Urban localities, cities and towns. Cities and towns are classified by the level of jurisdiction. While the Russian language has no separate words for town and city in translation, the word city is traditionally applied to the urban localities with a population of at least 100,000. Urban-type settlements is a type of smaller urban locality. This type of urban locality was first introduced in the Soviet Union in 1924, with the following subcategories. Urban-type settlement proper, mostly urban, population of 3,000–12,000. Work settlement, mostly urban, population occupied in industrial manufacture. Suburban settlement, typically a suburban settlement with summer dachas. Resort settlement, mostly urban, population occupied in services. In 1957, the procedures for categorizing urban-type settlements were further refined. Rural localities. Multiple types of rural localities exist, some common through the whole territory of Russia, some specific to certain federal subjects. The most common types include villages. Selos, also translated as village. Historically, a selo differed from a village in that it had an Orthodox church. Settlements, posyolok, place. The rural type designation is added to the settlements, the population of which is mostly occupied in agriculture, while posyolok proper indicates a mix of population working in agriculture and industry. Stanitz is, historically, a Cossack rural locality. The name is still currently in use, with the basic meaning of village. Slobodas, historically, a settlement freed from taxes and levies for various reasons. The name is still currently in use with the basic meaning of village. Kutas, translated as hamlet, farmstead, or village. Pochanoks, a newly formed rural locality of one or several families. Pochanoks are established as new settlements and usually grow into larger villages as they develop. In some federal subjects, ethnic terminology is used in the Russian language. Such locality types include and historical terms. Krepost, a fortified settlement. A Kremlin, a major krepost, usually including a castle and surrounded by a posad. An ostrog, a more primitive kind of krepost which could be put up quickly within rough walls of debarked pointed timber. Posad, a medieval suburban settlement. Miasteczko, a small town in the western Kraya next. During the partitions of Poland, typically a miasteczko would have a Jewish majority. Pogost,